right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Thanks for joining us. As always, you can join us on the phones at 803-978-1832, of course, on the Fox Sports Radio Facebook page. Look for us there. You can watch the show live, get an enlarged view of my pumpkin head. I have a head like a pumpkin. It's just the way that it is. But I tell you what, we'll get started with some National Signing Day stuff. As of right now, the number one class in the country goes to, surprise, 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 the University of Alabama. There's talk that this could be the most talented class in 247 sports composite history. Yeah, that's pretty much where it's at right now. So you have that going for you on that front when you're Alabama. Now, if we look at the latest composite rankings, and I'm going to give you, so that we're all on the same page here, where the classes rank as of right now. Alabama's at number 1, followed by Ohio State at 2. Number 3 is the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4 is LSU. That was an interesting one to me, and I'll explain to you why. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that may be behind the scenes there with LSU. But I'm beginning to think that we're at a point now where, kids can transfer anyway. And that's kind of what they're going to end up doing. But to see LSU that high at number 4 right now, pretty impressive. Also, number 5 is Clemson. The interesting thing about Clemson's class is that all of them have, all of the recruits that were there pretty much signed on the early signing day. So the traditional signing day is kind of out the window right now. Especially if you're a Clemson fan, you were looking for something different today. Yeah, you're not getting it. As Clemson is at number 5, Oregon's at 6, Texas A&M at 7, Southern and the stuff that went on with that, as the Gamecocks pick up a player today from the junior college ranks, also a young man from Alabama that you look at this class and you kind of have to be not necessarily stunned, but if you're a Gamecock fan, you can be happy with what Shane Beamer has done in his first year here at South Carolina. So that's interesting too. Other SEC teams in the mix, Ole Miss is at 19 as of right now. ACC teams as well. Florida State's at 22. Arkansas is at 24. Mississippi State is at 25. Pitt's at 26. Mizzou's at 27. And then we go down from there. Auburn, with their new coach, they're at number 30. Kentucky's at 32. South Carolina's a little bit further down the list. I think they're at 77 right now. But I want Gamecock fans to step back for just a second. When you look at classes for South Carolina, the first class for South Carolina under Will Muschamp was what, the 2014 class? And let's see, to make sure that I'm right on that. I think it was the 2014 or maybe the 2013 class. Let's make sure that I'm on the same page. Either way, that first set of recruits under Will Muschamp ended up being kind of, I know that they weren't exactly the greatest as far as records go, but the 2013 class finished, 8th in the SEC? And if I remember correctly, this was the first class that had there were some players in that class that were interesting. Let me make sure that I'm on the, maybe I'm looking at the, let me look at 2014. I think I pulled the wrong numbers, but it was the first class that had Brian Edwards in it. And they managed to convince him to come to South Carolina. Let's make sure that I'm looking at the right class here. I may be whacked out of my skull a little bit. That's possible. Either way, I've got to look at it here. But as I pulled up the wrong notes. But the reality is that you can have some guys in that first class that could make a difference. The Gamecocks have 3 recruits that are top guys in the junior college rankings, which I know you don't like. Hey, I'd rather have people that are here for an extended period of time, but you got to take what you can get. Got to take what you can get. Allen says there's no excuse for 77th, Rob. Leave the SEC immediately. I mean, you're going to boot South Carolina out of the SEC. What good does that cause, sir? I mean, remember, if that's the case, there's no excuse for not winning a conference game, which Tennessee didn't do a couple of years ago. Maybe we should boot Tennessee from the SEC. I don't know if we're going under that logic. By the way, let's get this Tennessee story out of the way really quick here. I laughed at this story when I caught it earlier. So Tennessee had a recruit that they pulled this young man's national letter of national. They pulled his scholarship basically, like right before signing day. So he pulled a scholarship offer from 3-star wide receiver athlete Rock Taylor out of Oxford, Alabama. Per AL.com, his high school coach, Keith Etheridge, says the Vols pulled the former longtime Tennessee commit's offer the day before National Signing Day. So this young man's going to have to figure out where to go. They could have told him from the beginning, but here's what they did. They pulled it before National Signing Day. Great move there by Josh Heupel, which, by the way, if you're following some of the former UCF players on Twitter, if you could see some of their Twitter stuff that people have sent to me with some of the stuff saying Coach Heupel didn't even bother saying goodbye. I mean, is that really a family type atmosphere? I mean, he hasn't coached it down in the SEC yet, but the couple of things that I've heard about him, one, didn't really have the best relationship with his players there, according to the sample of players that I got. And 2, now there's a young man that was offered a scholarship, the number 27 athlete in the 2021 class and the number 15 overall recruit from the state of Alabama. They told him, no, we don't want you here. Here's the other thing. The coach says that is, quote, Bush League. It's just really crappy because Rock has been nothing but loyal to them. It's such a frustrating situation when kids do the right thing and then coaches come in and do something like this to a kid. Unbelievable. Some coaches get mad when a kid changes his mind at the last second. Well, it's hard to hold a kid accountable for something you're not willing to be accountable for yourself. Look, I don't know the whole behind the scenes stuff. Vol Nation Online says his grades was awful. The last staff advised him not to sign because he wasn't eligible for UT. He went to Memphis today. I'm glad he found a place to go. That's all great. But this doesn't look good for Tennessee. Doesn't look good for Tennessee at all. Just the optics of it. I don't know. I think that Bobby Petrino, by the way, blocked me on Twitter a long time ago when he was the Louisville head coach because there was a young man that was offered by the school and he pulled the offer. Just blah, 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 pulled the offer. Same thing. Did the same thing. And of course, Petrino is a scumbag and blocked everyone on Twitter that mentioned the guy's name that had his Twitter handle involved with it. So there's that too. But this is not exactly the way that high school, the way that you should treat players that are committed to your school. When you come in, you can work something out. But if this guy thought 3 days before signing day, hey, I'm going to Tennessee, and he didn't, that, my friends, is a mess. Beggin Megan Online says, anyone see what UGA did today? Another 5-star for 2022. They're now second in the nation. Look, you know something else that UGA did today? And I'm not exaggerating on this. This actually happened. They officially hired Will Muschamp as their head coach. I'm not their head coach, but as an analyst for their coaching staffs. Kirby Smart said on a Zoom meeting that, quote, Muschamp is going to coach the coaches. What? You realize the guy got fired at South Carolina, right? Being a coach himself, but he's going to coach your coaches. That's what you're telling me. So, yeah, they did do that. Now, as I sit around and I look at this, we talked about this about a week ago. About a week ago, I think it was 10 days ago, where Will Muschamp was already parking his car there, but they couldn't get him as far as at the Georgia facility. But, oh, he's just visiting. That's the big thing. He's just visiting here. Now, of course, it comes out, hey, guess what? He's going to be an analyst and analyze our coaches. I have no clue what Will Muschamp is going to say to anyone else on the coaching front when they can look him directly in the eye and say to him, you haven't been worth anything since you were with Mac Brown at Texas. How is it that you're going to hire this guy to analyze your coaches? Now, if Smart was saying, look, he's going to help us as far as quality control with on the defensive side of the ball, working with stuff like that, I could buy that. But to say he's going to analyze the coaches, get out of here with that nonsense. Do you want Will Muschamp on your staff analyzing your coaches? No. Brandon's with another good point there, too. He got fired at Florida, too. This guy is a two-time retread in the SEC, and you're going to hire him to analyze your coaches. If I'm a coach on Kirby Smart's staff, and I look at him and I think that he has he's putting his faith in me to keep his job with the University of Georgia. Okay. So I'm thinking he's depending on me to coach whatever it is, linebackers, running backs, defensive backs, whatever. If he brings this guy in, hey, guess what? We're going to bring Will Muschamp in here. He's going to tell you, he's going to analyze what you do and then go from there. That sounds like I'm going to look at him and be like, really? But you know what? Maybe Kirby Smart should have been smart today. And I'm just putting the conspiracy theory out there. They are old friends. But there was a certain quarterback from the state of Georgia that had a relationship with Muschamp at South Carolina. You know, good old Gunnar Stockton, the big, highly touted recruit. Maybe that's why Kirby Smart hired Will Muschamp. Maybe he's just throwing the little smoke up in the air saying, hey, he's going to analyze the coaches. Maybe he did that just to get the young man, Gunnar Stockton, to transfer or to move from going to Auburn to going to Georgia. Out to the phones we go, 803-978-1832. And good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hey, good afternoon, Rob. It's Ray. How you doing?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Oh, doing good, man. The sun is shining. What else can you say? But a couple of things I want to hit on. Definitely Brad Brownell's Clemson Tiger team, they're kind of a Heckle and Jekyll. I mean, if they're at home, they win. If they're away from Little John, they seem to get, come up on the wrong side of the of the tally there. But,
yeah, we're going to get
anytime
into
you beat UNC.
We're going to get into hoops later, but yeah, you're right about that. We'll definitely talk about that later on.
Yeah. And also, I was listening to our AD at South Carolina, a little bit earlier, and a question was asked to him about Muschamp's buyout, and he answered it in a way that it didn't really affect the athletic program. The money, there's it's from a different account, and I work and find that.
I have to look that up, man. I've been busy.
$12.9 million. It comes out of your account and it affects your budget. I don't care about just sitting in your coffers for a rainy day. You're still losing $12.9 million.
I want some money. Look, I tell you what, I'll give the university sweetheart coverage like some other places around here. If they'll give me some of this money that they don't care about, I'll talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks being the absolute best ever. And I'll bring that to the audience if he can just throw me some of this money he was throwing at Will Muschamp that doesn't matter. Yeah, I've got to catch that comment. That's hilarious.
I know you do, and I just had to run that by you, but I couldn't believe it. When I heard that about wrecking a ditch, I'm like, just own up to it. We had to pay the guy $12.9 million. We'll figure out a way to make it. But to say it won't affect any of our athletic department, won't affect our athletic department or anything like that. We had money like for a rainy day. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, I just had to add that, Rob.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, buddy. All right, thanks a lot. All right, out to the phones we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hey, it's Megan Mullen. I'm assuming that Carolina crack pipe is nowhere to be found at the moment.
He'll be with me later on tonight. What you got, man? Turn down your radio.
All right, well, tell him I said that. But I look, this whole Will Muschamp thing. Look, he's a coach. He's not a magician.
Can you turn down your speaker there, buddy? It's feeding back.
I don't have a speaker on. I'm sorry.
Hold on, buddy. Yeah, that's good. Hold on. All right, there we go. I think I fixed it. All right, go ahead. What you got, man?
Okay, sorry about that.
That's right.
Listen, Will Muschamp is a coach. He's not a magician, so he's not going to win at South Carolina. Let's go over the list of coaches who did. It's fairly slim. I want to welcome Will Muschamp home to the University of Georgia, where in his first year on the staff, we will win a national title and beat the dog piss out of Clemson and South Carolina.
Sure.
And shut you guys up for good. You guys have a good day.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in on the show. I'm not buying that at all because Kirby Smart couldn't figure out that JT Daniels wasn't worthy of being a starter. He had him third string behind, actually fourth string when Jamie Newman was there. So I don't trust Kirby Smart to, as far as on the offensive side of the ball, to walk my dog. Just saying. Yeah, and you know what? They may beat Clemson. They may beat South Carolina. But remember, under Kirby Smart, they also have the, 2 seasons ago, they were a 17-point underdog, a 17-point favorite at home and lost to a pretty not-so-good South Carolina team. So there's that. Georgia fans are wonderful, by the way. I love when Georgia fans, they're like, yeah, this is going to be our year. It's February, and this is the year they're going to do it. I mean, they've been waiting 40 years to win the national title. They tell us they're going to win every year. I mean, they still have, what's the hit song from 1980? I can't remember. I have to look it up during the break. But it's the same song that every year. Same song and dance. So until you actually break through, just stop. Just stop. Alan says Muschamp was paid to destroy Florida and South Carolina. What SEC school will be next? Caller did have an interesting point there. He's not a magician. Okay, so I'll buy that. But I think it was more of, and I can write my own conspiracy theories here because Muschamp hasn't put anything out online to even talk about, hey, I left South Carolina, held Ray Tanner and everybody up for $12.9 million, all of that. Basically put the program to a point where they're just in a hole. Yeah, I did all that. He didn't respond to any of that. He just went to Georgia where he's supposedly going to be an analyst. How about just being honest? My conspiracy theory is he was brought on at Georgia for 2 reasons. 1, he has a relationship with Kirby Smart. And 2, maybe it helped a little bit with Gunnar Stockton transferring his services from Auburn, basically, down the road to Georgia. Maybe that had a little bit to do with it. I don't know. Nobody's going to refute what I'm saying. The Georgia fans will just call up and say, oh, well, we're going to beat South Carolina anyway, and Muschamp is this and that. They're not going to come at you with anything that's viable on that front. Muschamp's not saying anything, and the only thing we got from Smart is he's going to coach the coaches, which if that's your guy that's coaching your coaches, then you've got a 2-time SEC failure trying to coach up your coaches. What does that say about you as a leader? Just saying. It's not that far-fetched. I think he was brought there to help with the recruiting of Gunnar Stockton, and they'll have him doing something else. But if he's analyzing me as a coach and he's a 2-time failure, I'm not going to pay attention to what he's saying. Brock with a great line. I call BS. Muschamp can make millions of dollars disappear. He can also make credibility disappear. Whereas the same thing he did with South Carolina, he did it with Florida too. I mean, some David Copperfield type stuff. He whittled his wand a little bit and watch this. I'm going to make the University of Florida irrelevant. Yes, we're going to be relevant on one side of the ball, but we have to play offense too. I'm going to make guys like Will Greer and everything else leave. We're not going to have a quarterback. Just saying. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon. Quick break, and we come back. We'll have more for you. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. It definitely is silly. The Georgia fans are hilarious to me. They think that they're just going to win. They're just going to win because they're Georgia. That's just insane. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. I like the idea they went and got some veterans to help on the defensive side of the ball. We'll get into that too. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. Passionate Georgia caller calling earlier saying that they were going to beat Clemson, beat South Carolina, shut us all up here in the Palmetto State. More power to him on that. More power to him on that. I just thought I would bring something up to him, though. So I looked back since the 2016 season. So that gives you what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 recruiting classes. So when I look at those 6 recruiting classes, here's what I see. Georgia finishes at 6th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st, and right now they're right at 3rd place as far as the recruiting national championship. Look, getting all that talent is very important. But before I call up and I'm going to start saying things like Georgia's going to win the national title this year, one thing I would look at is just look at the talent that you have on your team and then say, you know what? Why is it that I have all of this talent on this team, but I've not won a national title? I've given you 6 straight years where you're in the top 6 or better, and you're not in the national title hunt. Is it the Georgia facilities? Oh, no, they're great, considered one of the best in the country. Is it the Georgia fan base? No, they're considered one of the more passionate in the country. Is it money? No. Maybe it's your head coach. I mean, I hate to break that to you, but maybe it's your head coach. It's not that far-fetched, ladies and gentlemen. If you have that much talent, maybe you should win something. If you go back from 2016, Clemson didn't have those numbers. They won 2 national titles since then. What's Georgia won? They have a national championship game appearance. That's great. 1 SEC championship. That's great too. But when it comes down to it, Georgia fans think they're going to win the national title every single year, and they come up short. Spartacus online says, what do you call a Georgia team that has to play Alabama, Clemson, and LSU in a non-COVID year? 0-3. And by the way, to put this out there too, to Georgia fans, the toughest game on your schedule next year is Clemson. After the Clemson game next season, you don't have much to talk about. The rest of your schedule is ridiculous. It's not that far. It's not that, if you look at the Georgia schedule, I'm just amazed at the stuff that Georgia fans talk about. Oh, they play the toughest schedule. Clemson, UAB, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Auburn, at Auburn, Kentucky, Florida in Jacksonville, Mizzou at Tennessee, Charleston Southern at Georgia Tech. That schedule is not exactly anything to write home about after the game with Clemson at the beginning of the season. Spence says they were one lucky play from winning the title in 2017. Yes, but with that much talent, you think they would have one national title by now. Out to the phones we go. And good afternoon. Welcome into the rundown.
Hold on, cowboy. Alan V here. How you doing, sir?
What's up, brother? Are you gonna defend Georgia today?
Not so fast, my
I'm
friend.
just
I
wondering.
just simply want to state the facts.
Sure.
What year of coaching is your coach Swinney in?
I think he's in his 11th, 12th year at Clemson, something like that. I got to look it up. I don't remember.
Yeah, look that up. I think it's at least 12 years, right? A dozen years?
Sure.
Maybe?
Yeah. Sure. All right.
Coach Smart, in his second year, went to the Natty and lost in overtime to the best team in the country.
Okay.
He's been to the playoffs, beat Oklahoma.
All right.
He's winning 11 plus games a year, losing 1, sometimes 2 games a year. How does that compare to the greats? Saban, Swinney, Meyer.
I'm looking
Look up
at
their first 5 years.
I'm looking at the recruiting
Look up their
classes
first
that he
5
has.
years.
So you want to give him a completely free pass with the recruiting classes that he has? That's fine. You can do that.
No, it's not one to give him a pass. I'm just saying, with what he has, he does have a higher winning percentage than all those coaches the first 5 years.
Okay, and that's fine, but they didn't have the recruiting classes that he's had either. You can look at it.
Well,
from that
I mean, I can't help
too.
Saban was at Michigan State, and I can't help that Urban Meyer was at Utah, and I can't help that, I don't even know where did Swinney start? At Clemson?
Swinney started as a graduate assistant at Alabama, and then sold insurance for a bit, and then ended up being the wide receiver coach at Clemson.
I'm just simply saying, if you look at the complete body of work after the first 5 years of being employed as a head coach, you got to admit it's pretty impressive.
It's as impressive as what Mark Richt did. You're right. Right there with what Mark Richt did.
It is. I'll be the first one to admit it, but Rick didn't bring them to any playoffs or any natties.
Well, that's because they didn't have the college football playoff when he was there. But good point, sir.
He did get them up to like number 3 in the country one year.
And that's great.
I don't know what year
you've got consistently the most talented roster in the country. The numbers show that. Unless they don't want to talk about
last year, that was just last year. Last year they had the most talented.
1-2-1-3. That's pretty much a heck of a lot of talent.
Yeah, but Alabama does that every year. Alabama's either 1 or 2 every year. So that's kind of.
Well, I'm looking at them as 1-1 in 18, 1-20, and they're probably going to finish second this year.
Yeah, I'm just simply trying to compare apples to apples.
Right. Well, I don't think that other coaches would have JT Daniels as their 4th string quarterback at any point after seeing what he could do last year.
No one is saying that he handles quarterbacks perfectly.
Okay, well then,
I'll be the first one.
How much of a leeway am I supposed to give this guy? He's got top recruiting classes, great quarterback on the bench that is basically fourth string. We're just supposed to let all that pass because he went through.
Oh, no.
What,
I think after 4 or 5 years of coaching, right now you have a class that's fallen from first in the country in recruiting to all the way to third in the country in recruiting. And if we get the safety at 4 p.m. from Tallahassee, we'll be locked in at third. We could fall to fourth. But I agree with you. With all of that talent, at some time, you have to draw the line and say it's put up or shut up time.
You shouldn't be losing to Florida and getting hammered by Mullen in the Florida game this year. That shouldn't happen. You shouldn't lose at South Carolina at home by 17 points. You were a 17-point favorite there.
They didn't lose to South Carolina by 17.
No, they were
points.
A 17-point favorite. I corrected myself. They were a 17-point favorite at home and lost. You don't do that with that much talent there.
You do if you pick the wrong quarterback.
Okay, well,
and he picked the wrong quarterback.
He's done that twice now. He's done that twice now. In the little bit of time that he's there.
He has done that twice. There's no argument there.
Fair enough.
The South Carolina game, quarterback threw 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions. I think a couple of them were pick sixes and a fumble, and you lost in overtime when your field goal kicker, who was All-American, missed a chip shot field goal.
Absolutely.
You got to quit living on that win forever. You can't live on that win forever. I mean, it's a rivalry game.
The point that I make about this, though, is that he has consistently made the wrong choice with quarterbacks. I mean, we can agree on that, right?
Times. He's done it twice, and I think he's seen the light.
Well, I hope so.
Half the season
for Georgia fans
playing.
I hope so.
Hey, he played a walk-on quarterback pretty much. He tried to play the other kid, the second string kid. He didn't work out either. But I think this year he's got it figured out. He knows who's going to play where, and just pleasantly optimistic. That's what I would say the Bulldog Nation should be, pleasantly optimistic.
I appreciate your call, man. Thanks so much.
Have a good day, Ron.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. Back out to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hey, it's David. How you doing?
David, what's up, man?
I wasn't going to call in today, but that last call just inspired me to call in. And
please help me.
What a great little bulldog that guy is. He's fully not aware that Pearl Harbor is closer to Georgia's national championship than present day is to Georgia's national championship. Oof. But, when you live 41 years in the past, it is what it is.
Yeah.
However, he was talking a little bit about what Sweeney was doing and what he was doing, and then he had the audacity to say that Georgia was pulling off 11-win seasons in a year in which we, A, play more games, and B, have a playoff. And I'm pretty sure Sweeney in his third year was winning 11 games, and ever since his third year has been winning at least 11 games a year.
With far less talent, and let's make sure we put that out there. Clemson does not have the talent that Georgia has on their roster right now. You can look at the 247 sports site, and it tells you that. So there's that, too.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I mean, it took Clemson longer to get to a national championship, but at the same time, I mean, Clemson, when we hired Dabo, I don't think it was to win national championships necessarily. It was to win ACC, which he did in his third year. Yeah. He had far less talent than that. So,
I appreciate you helping straighten that out a little bit. But, it's just funny that Georgia fans don't look at just the stuff that they have and the other two things where he's made the wrong choice at quarterback twice. Justin Fields should have been on the field for Georgia this year. He shouldn't have been at Ohio State. He made that choice to go with Jake Fromm, and that's terrible. Then he manages to get the young man Daniels to come from Southern Cal. And he puts him on the bench. The guy is inept when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. He's shown that. So I don't know, but they're still cool. They're going to the national title, man. That's what they tell me.
And they always go to the national title until November, and then they realize it's not coming. But
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks, man. All right, bye-bye.
I'll see you.
All right, one last call before we go to a break. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hey, man, what's going on?
What you got, buddy? How you doing?
Man, I had to call you. I saw the title of this video. I had to call you. Southern Mississippi, you know, I had to hit you with it. Southern Mississippi got Jay Jones over Tennessee. He ends up flipping or decommitting from Tennessee, signing with Southern Miss. He had offers from Ole Miss, Arkansas, and this guy's got a safety from Alabama. Is going to be a Golden Eagle, baby.
Well, there you go with the Golden Eagles making some hay on signing day, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling the show, buddy. Thank you.
You got it.
There you go. So another guy that flips from Tennessee. Not good. All right, quick break. And we come back. We'll have more for you on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Let's see what he does with our decommit Stockton. Good point. Stockton will probably never see the field at Georgia. You know, Nectarios, that's a heck of a point. Why would you go there when you see what they've done with quarterbacks there? I don't get it. Trevor says they should go get Tate Martell and play him. You're a savage for that, sir. UGA can't help every opponent fired their coaches last year. No, that's not true. It's not true at all. What are you talking about, Alan? Come on, man. You got to come up with something better than that. What can't be real? I don't drink the Georgia water that says we're going to win the national title every year, and that's not real. Maybe your assumptions that you're going to win the national title every year aren't real. I mean, it's kind of been that way for a little bit. Just saying.
Sports Radio, Fox Attitude. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. You can call us at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. If you want to join us on the program today, we got a short segment here to try to catch up here, but people are upset with what I said about Georgia, and I'm sorry, I don't apologize. With that level of talent, your problem is not with your facilities. Your problem is not with the players that you got there. Your problem is with your coach. Out to the phones we go. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey. Okay, I'm retracting the story I sent out that Canes called the other day.
Yeah.
I believe it's canesport.com on Twitter.
Yep.
Manny Diaz put out, and I did send it to you, that it looks like Nosey Perry will be out spring practice.
Cool.
And he will be transferring. So
transfer portal strikes again.
Who's going to be the quarterback until King's ACL gets repaired and rehabbed, so he can be in, I guess, the latter half of 2021. So
right, yeah.
There you go. I mean, I had called in and said the caller was wrong, but now I'm seeing, because Manny Diaz had his presser at 2 p.m. today for signing day, and I saw it on Twitter. So right. I stand
you know what?
corrected.
I appreciate you calling and being honest on the show when you're wrong. I wish Georgia fans would do the same thing. and just say, hey, I messed up and we're not going to win the national title this year.
I'm going to be real smart and cute. Kirby Smart would have had his national championship if he hadn't gone for it on 4th down that time, and the SEC championship game with the lead at midfield.
Yeah, well, that was because he was scared.
They probably would have won the SEC championship when the stupid 14 playoff. Georgia would have been the champions. They probably would have whooped up on the other 3 that year. But there you go. And
he was scared of Daddy on the other sideline. That was his problem. The 5'2" dad.
Whatever. I'm not a Georgia fan. I got my own problems. I'm a Gamecock fan. So there you go.
Fair enough, man. Hey, thanks for calling, buddy.
0 national championships. There you go.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks so much. All right, there you go. Bobby and KC joining us today. When we come back, I've got another story for you about some quarterback talk that kind of made me pull my head back a little bit. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course they did, Fireball. 1980, I was 4 years old the last time Georgia won a title. I'll be 45 in 3 months. Yeah, there you go with that. Maybe Muschamp is, at Georgia, they don't use McDonald's bags. Maybe they use, I don't know, Bojangles bags, and he's going to pass out the Bojangles bags. I don't know. He's not going there to evaluate coaches. That is a load of crap. Anybody believing that is just insane. And if I'm a coach, I don't want you evaluating me. You're a 2-time failure. You can tell me how to get contracts where I can get paid $12 million to do nothing, though. Maybe that'll help me. Just saying. Eric with a very logical comment today. I'll take the number 16-18 recruiting class despite the mess that they're in. Maybe you should send a message to your coach, Coach Heupel, and ask him why he's pulling offers from guys 3 days before before signing day. What a load of crap that is. Yeah, let's just pull his offer. Here's the thing with that. That coach isn't going to let him recruit there anymore. I mean, that they remember that kind of thing. Coaches aren't going to allow that to happen anymore. Not from there. And he's going to tell all of his coach friends, too, when they're all having coffee on Saturday morning or whatever, like coaches used to do. Yeah, that's going to happen. The guy had a 1.8 GPA. If he's eligible, which other guys have been had the opportunity to check on him, yeah, it's insane. You got to honor the scholarship. I think you're right there, Bama boy. You're right about that. It's starting to look silly. Yeah, Drew, I if they were taking him on the staff to evaluate and help with the players, that would make sense. But Smart said he's there to evaluate the coaches. Get out of here with that. I don't buy that, man. Don't buy that at all. Thank you, USC Insider, for joining the show. If you guys could like the show, that would be great. Just click the little like button there. Jackpot and I will be at it tonight. We'll have several things we're going to get into tonight. So if you guys want to join us tonight at 9:30, be recording the podcast tonight. That's a good point, too. They're RMF tied. Yeah. It's not the way you act. You try to build relationships. Hey, I'm just going to, the number 15 athlete that was offered. We're not going to honor his scholarship. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Some folks are telling me the young man that was offered by Tennessee, but the offer was pulled by Coach Heupel. They're saying he has a 1.8 GPA, and yeah, that's why one of the reasons why he's there. They also said, of course, Memphis accepted him. Oh man, you got to honor the scholarship, man. And as I was saying earlier, the coaches from there are not going to let around that area. They're going to see what happened. Tennessee's not going to be able to go in there and get anybody. Just saying. There's that too. I stand by my conspiracy theory from earlier with Will Muschamp. I think he was brought there to because one, he's Kirby Smart's friend, and two, I think it helped in the recruiting of Gunnar Stockton, who, I don't like to make bold predictions here, but I'm willing to bet he may enter the transfer portal at some point. He's just not the kind of quarterback that Georgia uses. As far as a guy that is a dual threat quarterback, they don't really use that kind of quarterback at Georgia. And it's nothing again. I mean, Georgia's put together some great offenses with teams, but generally they don't use a running quarterback. So I don't think that was the absolute greatest move for him, but he's a kid. He can go wherever he wants. He's the kid that put up these huge numbers. You know, I couldn't make a half the passes he throws. So there's that. I've got one other little thing I want to throw out there today. And this was actually kind of funny. Brett Favre is kind of been silly lately. For some reason, everybody and their brother is going to Brett Favre to ask him his opinion of things. Look, Brett Favre was a great quarterback at Green Bay. Okay. But I don't know if I want him just telling me, hey, what do you think of this quarterback prospect? What do you think of that guy? I mean, come on, man. I don't know if I'm buying it or not. He also, one of the things he said earlier this month, Trevor Lawrence should not be picked number 1 by Jacksonville because they don't have issues at quarterback. They should get Devontae Smith from Alabama, who is a great player. All right, let me make sure I throw that out there. People caught grief for that on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good because they thought I was bashing Devontae Smith. No, Devontae Smith was the best player in college football. Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. Completely earned the Heisman and everything he got, and he's going to be a dynamic player in the NFL. But he is a wide receiver. He is not a quarterback. You don't build your team around a wide receiver. You build it around your quarterback. The best quarterback in the country is Trevor Lawrence. Brett Favre says, oh, you should take Devontae Smith first. And then you got Gardner Minshew with his porn mustache flinging balls at him. That's not going to help. It's not going to make him better at all. So there's that. But Favre did say this when they asked him about Deshaun Watson and what he thought about Deshaun Watson asking for a trade. Check out these comments from the Green Bay legend.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's a different day and time. You know, it's not that long ago in some respects, but in others, it's light years ago when I entered the league. And it was almost unheard of for a player to demand basically anything. John Elway did it when he said he did not go play with, I think, Baltimore or Indianapolis Colts at the time. He said he would go play Major League Baseball until, something happened and he ended up going to Denver. But other than that, I really don't remember maybe Phillip Rivers and Eli's situation where one said he wouldn't play here and one ended up there and the other one ended up, I guess, where he wanted to. I'm kind of old school. I think, you play, you get paid a ton of money to do a certain job and just do it and let the chips fall where they may. I think we make too much money to voice an opinion, but I'm not saying he's wrong. I think it's a different day and time, and it'll be interesting to see how the organization handles it.
All right, so here's the thing on that. I can kind of get what he's saying, whereas Deshaun Watson signed a contract and he should honor that contract. I get that. That you definitely have an argument for that. But let's make this argument too. When Deshaun Watson signed that contract, he signed it with a completely different coach and GM. I'm just saying, he signed the contract with someone that's completely different, that may have a completely different way that they're going to run the team. I don't know anything about Nick Cassero or their new coach there. Don't know anything about them. You know what? Deshaun Watson probably doesn't either. If I'm going into basically the prime of my career, yeah, I kind of want to know what's going on there. Now, the question is, will Deshaun Watson hold out or not? I think so, because when I look at some of the stuff that is being put out there, you look at it from this perspective, it's just too much of what people think need to be offered, especially after the Stafford trade. Stafford's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. One of the top 10 rated quarterbacks in the NFL. Can make all the throws. He's a little older, 33, but you can make the argument he's got 4, maybe 5 good years left with the capability that he has now. And he's going to go play for a Los Angeles team that's probably a little more well set than what he had in Detroit. But If you've seen the price tag for him, the price tag for Deshaun Watson has to be through the roof. Now, if I'm the Texans, they can sit there and they can say, you know what? You signed this contract. By the way, he signed the contract in September of 2020. 4-year contract, September of 2020. So there's that too. When you look at it from that perspective, it's like, man, what's the deal there, Swan? And I say Swan because Lawton Swan's coming up next with Clemson Sports Talk from 4 to 6 here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Fireball says maybe Stafford can win one with the Rams. Yeah, maybe. He also tells me to look up the GPA for the young man that ended up going to Memphis. Bamba Boy says, I'd trade that Jaguar pick for Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I mean, that's something that's out there. Something that's out there, too. Brock says, as painful as this is for me to say, if Stockton were smart, he should definitely go to Clemson. At least they develop quarterbacks. Yes, that's very valid as well. So we'll see. I'm still stunned today by, Muschamp's going to evaluate the coaches. That's like me, somebody hiring me to say, hey, I'm going to evaluate your diet. Yeah, okay. Oh, goodness. All right, tomorrow on the rundown, we will have the final look at signing day, anything else that falls through the cracks. I'm also working on getting some baseball talk on here as far as the college baseball front, because we are almost there on that front. We've got Gamecock basketball tonight as the Gamecocks will take on Florida, the 22nd ranked team in the country, on the road at the O'Connell Center. I think that's what they still call it now. Gamecocks are an underdog there. Didn't really look very good against Vanderbilt. We'll see how that works out for them there. As I was saying earlier, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk is next.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes, follow him on Twitter. He's at Clemson Sports. He'll have there's not really much to wrap on the Clemson recruiting class because they finished all theirs on National Signing Day, the early National Signing Day. Just saying. There's not much to talk about there. Maybe Swan can bring something up with that. He'll probably talk about the Clemson win over North Carolina last night. Who was it? Ray said earlier they're a Jekyll and Hyde team with Clemson. Yeah. When they hit shots, they win games. Ta-da! I mean, exactly. Hit more shots, you win more games. There you go, Swan. I just ruined your segment on Clemson Sports Talk today when you talk about Clemson. Simple as that. When they hit shots, they win games. I don't know if they're going to make the tournament or not. I don't know. They have the talent to do it. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Please follow me on Twitter. I'm at Rob Sounds Good. You can also download the podcast if you missed it. Podcast will be up at about 5 o'clock. Just go to your favorite podcast app. Look for The Rundown with Rob Sanders. All right. It's been a great show. Enjoyed the calls. We will see you tomorrow. Hey, you guys rock over there, man. Thanks for checking out the show. We're here every day from 3 to 4. Jackpot and I are doing a show tonight, 9:30. He's chomping at the bit, so we'll definitely get in on that. So anyway, like the video here. Check us out at 9:30. You guys rock. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Or tonight, 9:30. There we go.